The tension in Westlake High's cafeteria was palpable as Maya Chen walked through the double doors, her footsteps echoing against the linoleum floor. 300 pairs of eyes tracked her movement, some curious, others dismissive, a few outright hostile. It was her first day, and already she could feel the invisible boundaries that divided the room, territories carved out through years of high school politics that she was now unwittingly trespassing across. Maya kept her gaze forward, her expression neutral as she navigated between the tables. At 17, she had perfected the art of blending in, or at least she thought she had. New school, new rules, new masks to wear. The weight of her backpack pressed against her shoulders, filled not just with textbooks but with the remnants of a life she'd left behind in Chicago. A life no one here knew about. A life she preferred to keep hidden. "Hey, new girl," a voice called out, slicing through the background chatter. "That seat's taken." Maya paused, turning toward the voice. Alexa Donovan sat at the center of a table surrounded by a court of followers. Her blonde hair cascaded over her shoulders, her smile cold and practiced. She was beautiful in that sharp, intimidating way that screamed power, the kind of beauty that was a weapon in itself. "Every seat's taken?" Maya asked, her voice calm despite the flush creeping up her neck. She hadn't even approached their table. Alexa's smile widened, her eyes glittering with amusement. "For you?" "Yeah." A ripple of laughter spread through Alexa's circle. Maya stood perfectly still, taking in the scene with a measured gaze. She'd been here before. Different faces, different school, same hierarchy. The calculation played out in her mind automatically. Engage or retreat, fight or adapt. Years of training had taught her to assess threats in seconds, but this wasn't a fight. This was just high school. "No problem," Maya said with a small shrug, turning away. She found an empty table in the far corner of the cafeteria and sat alone, unpacking her lunch with methodical precision. From the corner of her eye, she noticed a few students watching her, their expressions a mix of curiosity and relief that they weren't the targets today. Maya took a bite of her sandwich, allowing her thoughts to drift. 6 months ago, she had been training for the national championships. 6 months ago, her biggest worry had been perfecting her roundhouse kick. 6 months ago, her father had still been alive. Now, she was here, in this small town in Massachusetts, living with her aunt, trying to remember how to be normal, trying to forget the sound of screeching tires and shattering glass, trying to be just another invisible student. "Mind if I join you?" Maya looked up to find a girl with curly brown hair and glasses standing across from her, lunch tray in hand, a hesitant smile on her face. "Sure," Maya said, gesturing to the empty chairs around her. "I'm Zoe," the girl said, sitting down. "You're Maya, right? We have AP Physics together." Maya nodded, surprised to be recognized. "Good memory." "Small school," Zoe shrugged. "New faces stand out." She leaned forward slightly, especially when they shut down Mr. Harrison's rant about Newton's laws before it even started. Maya felt a smile tug at her lips despite herself. He seemed like he needed correcting. Oh, he definitely did. His ego's the size of Jupiter. Zoe glanced over her shoulder toward Alexa's table. "Don't let them get to you, by the way. They're like that with everyone." "I'm not worried about it," Maya said, and she meant it. After everything she'd been through, high school politics seemed trivial, almost laughably so. Zoe studied her for a moment. "You know, most new kids are terrified on their first day. You seem, I don't know, calm, like none of this bothers you." Maya took another bite of her sandwich, considering her response. "I've moved around a lot," she said finally. It wasn't a lie, just an omission. She didn't mention that the moving had been for competitions, for training camps, for her father's job as a security consultant. She didn't mention the medals packed away in boxes in her aunt's garage or the trophies she'd left behind in Chicago. New start. New life. That's what her aunt had said. A chance to be normal. The afternoon passed in a blur of introductions and syllabi. By the time the final bell rang, Maya had mapped out the entire school in her mind. Exits, blind spots, potential hazards, old habits. Her father had trained her to be aware of her surroundings at all times, and even now, with him gone, the lessons remained. Maya was organizing her locker when she felt someone approaching from behind. She turned, instinctively shifting her weight to her back foot, only to find Zoe smiling at her. "Hey," Zoe said. "A few of us are going to grab coffee at the Grind. Want to come?" Maya hesitated. "Thanks, but I should get home. My aunt's expecting me." Zoe's face fell slightly, but she nodded. "Sure, no problem. Maybe another time." "Maybe," Maya agreed, closing her locker. As she headed toward the exit, she spotted Alexa and her friends gathered around a smaller girl with wild red hair. The girl was pressed against the lockers, her face flushed with embarrassment as Alexa held something just out of her reach, a notebook with colorful stickers plastered across the cover. "Give it back, Alexa," the girl said, her voice tight with restraint. "Why? So you can write more of your pathetic poetry?" Alexa flipped through the pages, her voice mockingly sweet. "Ooh, let's see what we have here." Maya paused, watching the scene unfold. It wasn't her problem. She was supposed to keep her head down, stay out of trouble. That's what her aunt had made her promise when she'd enrolled her at Westlake. No fights, no attention. But as she watched the red-haired girl's humiliation, something twisted in Maya's chest. The girl wasn't fighting back, not because she couldn't, Maya suspected, but because she knew it would only make things worse. Maya adjusted her backpack and continued walking, not toward the exit but toward the group by the lockers. "Hey," she said, her voice neutral but firm as she approached. "I think she asked for her notebook back." Alexa turned, her surprise quickly morphing into amusement. "Well, look who it is. The new girl thinks she has a say." Her eyes narrowed, assessing Maya with a cold calculation. "This doesn't concern you. Keep walking." Maya remained where she was, her posture relaxed but ready. "Actually, I think it does concern me. See, I have this thing about bullies." Alexa's friends exchanged glances, sensing the shift in atmosphere. The hallway had grown quieter, other students slowing their exit to watch. "You don't know who you're messing with," Alexa said, taking a step closer to Maya. She was taller by a few inches, using her height to try to intimidate. Maya didn't flinch. She'd faced down opponents twice Alexa's size on competition mats around the world. "I think I do," she replied, her voice steady. "Someone who needs to pick on others to feel powerful." She held out her hand. "The notebook, please." For a moment, the air between them seemed to crackle with tension. Then Alexa laughed, the sound sharp and dismissive. "Whatever. It's garbage anyway." She tossed the notebook at Maya's feet. "You just made a big mistake, new girl. Huge." Maya bent down and picked up the notebook, handing it back to the red-haired girl, who clutched it to her chest with a grateful nod. "Thanks," the girl whispered. "No problem," Maya replied, before turning back to Alexa. "Just so we're clear, I'm not looking for trouble, but I'm not afraid of it either." Alexa's perfect features twisted into a sneer. "Well, you found it anyway. Welcome to Westlake, bitch." She spun on her heel and stalked away, her friends following in her wake like a flock of designer-clad ravens. The red-haired girl let out a shaky breath. "You shouldn't have done that. They're going to target you now." Maya shrugged. "I've handled worse. I'm Lily, by the way." "Maya." "I know," Lily said with a small smile. "Everyone knows. You're the talk of the school now." "Great," Maya thought. "So much for keeping a low profile." "Alexa's dad is the mayor," Lily continued as they walked toward the exit together. "And her boyfriend, Tyler, is the captain of the football team. They basically run this place. Every school has its royalty, Maya replied. Doesn't mean they deserve the crown. Outside, the autumn air was crisp with the promise of approaching winter. Students spilled out onto the grounds, breaking into groups as they headed home. Maya spotted Alexa across the parking lot, talking animatedly to a tall guy in a Letterman jacket. Tyler, she presumed. He glanced in her direction, his expression hardening as Alexa pointed. That's them, Lily confirmed, following Maya's gaze. Tyler's actually not that bad when Alexa's not around, but when they're together... She trailed off with a grimace. I get it, Maya said. She'd seen the dynamic countless times before. The power couple, feeding off each other's status, untouchable in their small-town kingdom. Anyway, thanks again for standing up for me. Nobody ever does that. Maya looked at her, really looked at her for the first time. Behind the shy demeanor and the hunched shoulders, there was something resilient in Lily's eyes. Maybe they should, Maya said. As they parted ways, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that she'd just crossed a line she couldn't uncross. Her aunt was going to be disappointed. One day at school and already she'd made enemies. But as Maya walked home, her steps light and measured on the sidewalk, she couldn't bring herself to regret it. 6 months of burying herself, of locking away everything she was, everything her father had taught her. Maybe it was time to remember who she really was. The thought should have terrified her. Instead, it felt like waking up. Maya entered her aunt's house quietly, dropping her backpack by the door. The scent of garlic and ginger filled the air. Her aunt's famous stir-fry, a peace offering after their argument that morning. How was school? Aunt Sarah called from the kitchen. Maya leaned against the doorframe, watching her aunt move efficiently around the small space. Sarah Chen was her father's younger sister, with the same sharp cheekbones and observant eyes. She'd taken Maya in without hesitation after the accident, putting her graphic design career on hold to move them both to Westlake for a fresh start. It was fine, Maya replied. Made a few friends, met a few enemies. Sarah paused, wooden spoon in midair. Maya. I didn't start anything, Maya said quickly. I just finished it. Sarah sighed, setting down the spoon. We talked about this. You promised to keep a low profile. I know, but there was this girl, and they were bullying her, and you just couldn't help yourself. Sarah finished for her, but there was no anger in her voice, only resignation. You're so much like your father. The comparison hung in the air between them, both a compliment and a warning. Maya's father had never been able to walk away from a fight either, especially when someone else was in trouble. It was what had made him an excellent security consultant. It was also what had put him in the wrong place at the wrong time on that rainy Chicago night 6 months ago. I'll be careful, Maya promised. But I won't be a bystander, Aunt Sarah. Dad taught me better than that. Sarah studied her niece's face for a long moment, then nodded once. I know. Just pick your battles, okay? You're here to heal, not to find new scars. Maya helped set the table, the familiar routine settling her nerves. As they ate, she told her aunt about Zoe and Lily, about her classes, about the small-town feel of Westlake High compared to her massive school in Chicago. She didn't mention Alexa's threat or the way Tyler had looked at her across the parking lot, some details her aunt didn't need to worry about. Later, after dinner was cleared and homework was done, Maya slipped out to the backyard. The night was cool and clear, stars visible in a way they never had been in Chicago. She moved to the center of the lawn, closed her eyes, and began to breathe, deep, measured breaths that slowed her heart rate and centered her mind. Then, with the precision of someone who had done this thousands of times, she began to move. Each stance flowed into the next, her body remembering what her mind had tried to forget. Front kick, pivot, block, strike. The kata was as familiar as her own heartbeat, a dance of power and control that her father had taught her from the moment she could stand. As Maya moved through the forms, she felt the weight of the day sliding off her shoulders. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, its own battles. Alexa and her crew wouldn't let the cafeteria incident go unanswered. But for the first time since the accident, Maya didn't feel afraid of what was coming. She had spent 6 months trying to be someone else, someone smaller, quieter, invisible, but invisibility hadn't saved her from Alexa's notice, and it wouldn't protect Lily or others like her. Maybe it was time to stop hiding. With a final, precise strike, Maya completed the kata and bowed to an invisible opponent. Above her, the stars continued their cold, distant vigil, indifferent to the small dramas playing out beneath them. But Maya felt different, more solid, more present than she had in months. They had picked the wrong new girl to mess with, and soon they would know it. Maya arrived at school early the next morning, the hallways still empty save for a few teachers preparing for the day. She moved through the quiet building with purpose, locating her classes again, memorizing the layout more thoroughly. It wasn't just habit, it was strategy. Know your terrain, her father had always said. In unfamiliar territory, information is your best weapon. She paused at her locker, organizing her books with methodical precision. The confrontation with Alexa was still fresh in her mind, but she felt no regret. 6 months of carefully constructed invisibility had been shattered in a single moment. But there was something almost liberating about it. She was tired of hiding, tired of pretending to be less than she was. "You're here early." Maya turned to find Lily approaching, her wild red hair partially tamed into a messy bun. She looked different today, still cautious, but standing a little straighter. "I like the quiet," Maya replied, closing her locker. "Gives me time to think." Lily nodded, leaning against the adjacent locker. "Listen, about yesterday. I wanted to thank you again. No one's ever stood up to Alexa like that before, especially not for me." "Why you?" Maya asked. "I mean, why does she target you specifically?" Lily's mouth twisted into a grimace. "We used to be friends, believe it or not. Elementary school, middle school, we were inseparable. Then high school happened and suddenly I wasn't cool enough. I didn't care about the right clothes or the right boys." She shrugged. "Plus, I made the mistake of calling her out when she started becoming mean. She doesn't forget things like that." "So she's been bullying you for years?" "On and off. It got worse when I won the state poetry slam last year. Got some attention, had my picture in the local paper. Alexa couldn't stand it." Maya raised an eyebrow. "You're a slam poet?" Lily blushed. "Yeah, not exactly the kind of talent that makes you popular in high school." "That's impressive," Maya said sincerely. "It takes guts to get up on stage and bare your soul like that." Says the girl who faced down the scariest person in school without breaking a sweat. Lily studied her for a moment. "How did you do that anyway? Most people can't even look Alexa in the eye." Maya shrugged. "I've dealt with scarier people than Alexa Donovan." Before Lily could ask more questions, the first wave of students began to fill the hallway. Among them was Zoe, who spotted them and waved, weaving through the crowd to reach them. "Morning," she said brightly. "I heard what happened yesterday. The whole school's talking about it." Maya suppressed a groan. "Great." "No, it is great," Zoe insisted. "Nobody ever stands up to Alexa. It's like some unwritten rule that she gets to terrorize everyone and we all just accept it." She lowered her voice. "Tyler's looking for you, by the way. I overheard him asking about the new girl in the parking lot." Maya felt her muscles tense slightly. "Let him look." "Are you not worried at all?" Lily asked, genuine concern in her voice. "Should I be?" Zoe and Lily exchanged glances. Tyler's intense, Zoe said carefully. When he gets angry, people tend to get hurt, usually on the football field, but still. Maya nodded, absorbing this information. Tyler wasn't just a high school boy with an inflated ego. He was potentially dangerous. Good to know. I'll keep that in mind, she said, but I'm not going to hide from him. The warning bell rang, signaling 5 minutes until first period. The hallway became a chaotic rush of students hurrying to their classrooms. We should go, Lily said. I have English first period. Math for me, Zoe added. Maya checked her schedule. I've got gym. I'll see you guys at lunch. They nodded and disappeared into the crowd. Maya made her way to the gymnasium, aware of the whispers and stares that followed her. News traveled fast in small schools. The girls' locker room was already full of students changing into their gym uniforms when Maya arrived. The chatter died down as she entered, eyes turning to track her movement. She ignored them, finding an empty spot on a bench and setting down her bag. Well, if it isn't the hero of Westlake High. Maya looked up to see Alexa standing a few feet away, flanked by 2 girls she recognized from the cafeteria. Alexa was smiling, but there was nothing friendly about it. I'm not looking for trouble, Alexa, Maya said calmly, pulling her gym shirt from her bag. Funny, because trouble seems to be looking for you. Alexa took a step closer. You embarrassed me yesterday. You embarrassed yourself, Maya replied, standing up to face her. They were almost the same height, eye to eye. I just pointed it out. A few girls nearby inhaled sharply at Maya's boldness. Alexa's smile faltered for a fraction of a second before returning, colder than before. You think you can just walk in here and change the rules? She asked, her voice low and venomous. This isn't your school, it's mine. Maya held her gaze, unflinching. No school belongs to one person, Alexa. That's kind of the point of public education. Someone snickered, quickly silenced by a glare from one of Alexa's friends. You think you're so smart, Alexa hissed. So brave. Let's see how brave you are when Tyler catches up with you. Maya felt a flicker of anger but kept her expression neutral. Is that your solution? Send your boyfriend to fight your battles? Alexa's face flushed. You don't know anything about me. I know enough, Maya replied. I know you're the kind of person who needs to tear others down to feel powerful. I know you surround yourself with people who are too afraid to tell you the truth. And I know that deep down, you're terrified someone will see through the act. The locker room had gone completely silent, every girl frozen in place, watching the confrontation with wide eyes. Alexa seemed at a loss for words, her usual composure shattered by Maya's direct assessment. The gym teacher's whistle sounded from the doorway. 2 minutes, ladies. Alexa took a step back, her eyes never leaving Maya's. This isn't over, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Not even close. She turned and stalked away, her friends following quickly behind her. Around the locker room, girls resumed changing, but the atmosphere had shifted. Maya could feel their eyes on her, some curious, some impressed, some concerned. She changed quickly and headed into the gymnasium, where the class was gathering on the bleachers. The teacher, a muscular woman with a silver whistle and clipboard, stood at the center of the basketball court. All right, everyone, she called out. Today we're starting our self-defense unit. Partner up. Maya suppressed a smile at the irony. Self-defense. If only they knew. She scanned the room for a potential partner, but most of the girls had already paired up. The only person left standing alone was a tall girl with dark braids, who Maya hadn't seen before. No partner? Maya asked, approaching her. The girl shook her head. I usually end up with the teacher. Well, today you've got me, Maya said, extending her hand. I'm Maya. Tanisha, the girl replied, shaking her hand with a firm grip. The teacher began demonstrating basic wrist escapes, showing how to break free from someone grabbing your arm. Maya watched politely, though these were moves she had mastered when she was 7. "Okay, pair up and practice," the teacher instructed. "One person grabs, one escapes. Switch roles after 5 repetitions." Tanisha reached for Maya's wrist. "I'll grab first." Maya nodded, allowing Tanisha to take hold of her wrist. With deliberate movements, she executed the escape perfectly, twisting her arm in the exact way the teacher had demonstrated. "Wow," Tanisha said. "You picked that up fast." Maya smiled. "I've had some practice." They continued the exercise, taking turns grabbing and escaping. Maya was careful to perform the moves correctly, but not too perfectly. The last thing she needed was more attention. "You're really good at this," Tanisha commented after their 10th repetition. "Like suspiciously good." Maya shrugged. "I took some self-defense classes back in Chicago." It wasn't exactly a lie. She had taken classes, advanced classes, competitive classes, classes that had taken her around the country and nearly around the world before her father's death. "Chen, Morris." The teacher's voice cut through their conversation. "Since you two seem to have mastered the basic escape, let's see if you can handle something more advanced." Maya felt a flutter of anxiety as the teacher beckoned them to the center of the room. The rest of the class formed a circle around them, including Alexa, whose eyes narrowed with interest. "Morris, I want you to try to grab Chen from behind, a bear hug," the teacher instructed. "Chen, I'll walk you through the escape. This is more advanced, so don't worry if you can't get it right away." Maya nodded, positioning herself in front of Tanisha. She felt Tanisha's arms wrap around her from behind, pinning her arms to her sides. "Now," the teacher began, "the key to escaping a bear hug is to create space, then use leverage. Drop your weight. Stomp on the attacker's foot if you can, then use your elbows to strike backwards." Maya hesitated. She knew at least 6 different ways to escape this hold, some of them capable of sending her attacker to the hospital if executed with full force. The teacher's method was basic but functional. "Go ahead and try," the teacher encouraged. Maya took a breath and began to follow the instructions, deliberately slowing her movements, making them less fluid than they would normally be. She dropped her weight, pretended to stomp on Tanisha's foot, pulling the motion at the last second, and gently elbowed backwards. Tanisha, playing along, released her grip and stepped back. The class applauded politely. "Good," the teacher said. "Now switch roles." Maya moved behind Tanisha, wrapping her arms around the taller girl's torso. Tanisha attempted the escape, her movements clumsy, but effective enough to break free. "Well done, both of you," the teacher said. "Class, that's the kind of awareness and technique that can save your life in a dangerous situation." As they returned to their spot, Maya noticed Alexa watching her with a calculating expression. She had held back, made her movements look unpracticed, but something in Alexa's gaze suggested she hadn't been entirely convincing. The rest of gym class passed without incident, but Maya could feel Alexa's eyes on her throughout. When the bell rang, she changed quickly and headed to her next class, hoping to avoid another confrontation. She almost made it to history when a hand clamped down on her shoulder. Maya spun around, instinctively dropping into a defensive stance before she could stop herself. She found herself face to face with Tyler, Alexa's boyfriend. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with the solid build of a football player and a face that might have been handsome if not for the current sneer distorting his features. "So you're the one causing trouble for my girl," he said, his voice low and threatening. Maya straightened, forcing herself to relax. "I don't want any trouble." "Should have thought of that before you stuck your nose where it doesn't belong." Tyler took a step closer, using his height to loom over her. "Around here, people know better than to mess with Alexa." "Maybe they shouldn't have to be afraid of her," Maya replied, keeping her voice calm despite the adrenaline beginning to course through her veins. Tyler laughed, the sound harsh and humorless. "Oh, you've got guts, I'll give you that, but trust me, new girl, you do not want me as an enemy." Maya met his gaze steadily. "I don't want you as anything, Tyler. I just want to go to class." She made to move past him, but Tyler shifted, blocking her path. The hallway around them had emptied as students hurried to their classes, leaving them alone in the corridor. "We're not done talking," Tyler said, his voice dropping even lower. "Yes, we are." Maya stepped sideways, only for Tyler to mirror her movement. "Alexa says you think you're tough," he continued, taking another step toward her. "Let's see how tough you really are." Maya felt her muscles coiling, ready to react. 5 years of competitive fighting had honed her reflexes to near instantaneous response. If Tyler made a move, she could have him on the ground before he knew what hit him, but that would mean revealing exactly what she was capable of. It would mean drawing attention she didn't want. It would mean breaking her promise to her aunt. "I don't think you want to find out," she said quietly. Something in her tone made Tyler pause. For a brief moment, uncertainty flickered across his face, then his sneer returned, broader than before. "You're just a scared little girl playing tough," he said. "Stay away from Alexa. Stay away from Lily. Stay in your lane. This is your only warning." With that, he turned and walked away, shoulders squared as if he'd won some victory. Maya watched him go, her heart rate slowly returning to normal. The warning bell rang, signaling she was now officially late for history. As she hurried to class, Maya couldn't help but wonder how long she could keep her past hidden. Sooner or later, something would force her hand. And when that happened, Westlake High would learn exactly what kind of new girl they were dealing with. The history teacher barely looked up as Maya slipped into the classroom, taking an empty seat near the back. As he droned on about the Revolutionary War, Maya's mind wandered back to Chicago, to the training center where she had spent countless hours perfecting her craft. Her father had enrolled her in martial arts when she was 5, not to create a fighter, but to build confidence in his shy daughter. No one, least of all him, had expected her to take to it the way she did. By 8, she was competing in regional tournaments. By 12, she was a national champion in her age group. By 15, she was being scouted for international competitions, her name whispered in martial arts circles as one to watch. Then came the accident, the drunk driver, the funeral, the move to Westlake. And just like that, Maya Chen, rising star of the mixed martial arts world, disappeared. Her aunt had suggested, no, insisted, on the fresh start. "No one needs to know about your fighting," she'd said. "You can just be a normal teenager for once." Maya had agreed, partly because she was too numb with grief to argue, partly because the thought of stepping onto a mat again without her father watching from the sidelines was too painful to bear. But now, as she half-heartedly copied notes about Paul Revere's ride, Maya wondered if she'd made the right choice. Being normal hadn't protected her from Alexa's notice. It hadn't stopped Tyler's threats. All it had done was force her to deny a fundamental part of who she was. The bell rang, startling Maya from her thoughts. As students filed out of the classroom, her phone buzzed with a text from Zoe. "Lunch in the courtyard. Safer than the cafeteria today." Maya slipped her phone back into her pocket. One day at this school and she already needed safe zones. Perhaps being normal was overrated after all. The courtyard was a small, tree-lined space tucked between the main building and the gymnasium. A handful of wooden picnic tables dotted the area, most of them empty as the majority of students preferred the cafeteria's shelter from the autumn chill. Maya spotted Zoe and Lily at a table beneath a large maple tree, its leaves a brilliant tapestry of red and gold. "There she is," Zoe said as Maya approached, "the woman of the hour." Maya set her lunch down with a sigh. "Please tell me people are talking about something else by now." "Are you kidding?" Lily shook her head. "You stood up to Alexa, then faced down Tyler. That's like Westlake High legend status. It's been one day, Maya pointed out, unwrapping her sandwich. One day of you doing what no one's done in 3 years, Zoe replied. Trust me, it's a big deal. Maya took a bite of her sandwich, considering this. She hadn't come to Westlake looking to make waves, but maybe it was inevitable. Maybe keeping her head down was never an option. Not really. So what happened with Tyler? Lily asked, leaning forward. We heard he cornered you after gym. Nothing happened, Maya said with a shrug. He made some vague threats, tried to intimidate me, then walked away. Zoe and Lily exchanged glances. That's it? Zoe asked. He didn't do anything? Maya raised an eyebrow. What was he going to do? Hit me in the middle of the hallway? It wouldn't be the first time, Lily said quietly, her eyes dropping to her lunch tray. Last year he slammed a sophomore into the lockers for accidentally bumping into Alexa. The kid had a concussion. And he didn't get expelled? Maya asked, incredulous. Zoe snorted. His dad's the football coach and his uncle's on the school board. Plus, Alexa's dad is the mayor. They're untouchable. Maya felt a familiar fire kindling in her chest, the same righteous anger that had driven her to intervene the day before. She'd seen this kind of entitlement before in competitions where wealthy parents believed their children deserved to win, regardless of skill or effort. It never sat well with her. No one's untouchable, she said, her voice low but firm. They just haven't met the right person yet. Lily looked up, something like hope flickering in her eyes. You really aren't afraid of them, are you? Maya considered the question. Fear wasn't the right word. Caution, maybe. Awareness, but not fear. She'd faced opponents who could break bones with a single strike, who had trained their bodies into lethal weapons. Alexa and Tyler were bullies, but they weren't fighters. I've dealt with worse, she said simply. There's a rumor going around, Zoe said, changing the subject, that you're some kind of secret agent's daughter. She grinned. Or that you were in a gang in Chicago. Maya nearly choked on her water. What? People are trying to figure you out, Lily explained. Nobody can understand how you're so calm about all this. I'm not a secret agent's daughter, Maya said, which was technically true. Her father had been a security consultant, not an agent. And I definitely wasn't in a gang. So what's your secret then? Zoe pressed. Because normal new kids don't stand up to the school's power couple on day one. Maya hesitated. She'd promised her aunt she wouldn't draw attention to her fighting background, but she hadn't promised to lie to potential friends. Still, old habits died hard. I'm just not big on bullies, she said finally. Never have been. Before either girl could question her further, a shadow fell across their table. Maya looked up to find Tanisha from gym class standing there, lunch tray in hand. Mind if I join? She asked, her voice carrying a hint of uncertainty. Of course not, Maya said, shifting to make room. Guys, this is Tanisha. We were partners in gym. Zoe and Lily introduced themselves as Tanisha sat down. There was an awkward moment of silence before Tanisha spoke again. So, I've been wanting to ask you something, she said, looking directly at Maya. Where did you really learn to fight? Maya stiffened. What do you mean? In gym class. Those moves you were doing, or rather pretending not to know how to do. Tanisha set down her fork. My brother runs a dojo in Boston. I've been training with him since I was 10. I know what it looks like when someone's holding back. Maya felt Zoe and Lily's eyes on her, curious and expectant. She considered deflecting again, but something about Tanisha's direct approach made her reconsider. Maybe it was time to stop hiding, at least a little. I used to compete, she admitted, back in Chicago. Compete in what? Lily asked. Mixed martial arts, Maya said, the words feeling strange on her tongue after months of silence. I was pretty good. Pretty good? Tanisha raised an eyebrow. What level? Maya hesitated, then decided to own it. National champion in my age group. I was training for the international circuit before I moved here. The table fell silent. Zoe's mouth had dropped open slightly, while Lily's eyes had widened to the size of saucers. Tanisha nodded slowly, as if confirming a suspicion. I knew it, she said. The way you moved, even when you were trying to hide it, that's years of training. Wait, Zoe said, finding her voice. You're like an actual fighter, like UFC-style fighter. Maya shook her head. Not professional, junior competitions, but yes, similar styles. Holy shit, Lily whispered. And Tyler tried to intimidate you? Does he know? Tanisha asked. No, Maya said firmly. No one knows, and I'd like to keep it that way if possible. Why? Zoe asked. If people knew what you could do, no one would mess with you, especially not Tyler. Maya sighed, trying to find the words to explain. It's complicated. After my dad died, I needed a fresh start. Fighting was our thing, something we did together. Without him, it just felt wrong. The admission hung in the air, more personal than she'd meant to be. The three girls exchanged glances, a silent conversation passing between them. We won't tell anyone, Lily said finally. But can I just say, the idea that you could probably drop Tyler with one hit is the best thing I've heard all year. Maya couldn't help but smile. It would take at least two. They all laughed, the tension breaking. For the first time since arriving at Westlake, Maya felt like she might actually belong somewhere. The rest of lunch passed in comfortable conversation, with Tanisha sharing stories about her brother's dojo and Zoe detailing the complex social hierarchy of Westlake High. By the time the bell rang, Maya had almost forgotten about her confrontation with Tyler. Almost. As they gathered their things to head back inside, Maya noticed a group of football players entering the courtyard from the gym entrance. Tyler was at the center, flanked by two hulking teammates. His eyes scanned the area, locking onto Maya with predatory focus. Incoming, Tanisha murmured, nodding toward the approaching group. We should go, Lily said, her voice tight with anxiety. Maya shook her head. You guys go ahead. I'll handle this. Are you sure? Zoe asked, looking worriedly between Maya and the advancing football players. I'm sure, Maya replied, her voice steady. I'll see you in class. Reluctantly, the three girls gathered their things and headed for the main building, casting concerned glances over their shoulders as they went. Maya remained at the table, calmly packing up her lunch as Tyler and his friends approached. Well, if it isn't the new girl, Tyler said, his voice carrying across the now empty courtyard. Eating out here all alone. Not very smart. Maya looked up, her expression neutral. I'm not alone by choice. My friends just left. Friends? Tyler laughed, the sound echoed by his companions. You mean the poet freak and the nerd, scraping the bottom of the social barrel there, aren't you? I choose friends based on character, not social status, Maya replied, zipping her lunch bag closed. You might want to try it sometime. Tyler's smile disappeared, replaced by a scowl. He stepped closer, his two friends moving to flank Maya, cutting off her path to either exit. You know, Tyler said, his voice dropping to a dangerous register, I've been thinking about our conversation earlier. I don't think I made myself clear. You were perfectly clear, Maya said, standing her ground despite the three boys now surrounding her. I just wasn't intimidated. Tyler's eyes narrowed. You should be. Why? Maya asked, genuinely curious. Because you're bigger than me? Because you play football? Because your girlfriend runs the school? None of that impresses me, Tyler. One of Tyler's friends snickered, quickly silenced by a glare from Tyler. He turned back to Maya, taking another step closer. now well within her personal space. "You think you're tough," he said, voice low, "but you're just a girl who doesn't know her place." Maya felt her patience wearing thin. She'd tried to be diplomatic, tried to avoid conflict, but some people only understood one language. "My place?" she repeated, her voice dangerously soft. "And where exactly is that, Tyler?" "Beneath me," he replied with a smirk, looking to his friends for approval. Maya took a slow, deliberate breath. She had promised her aunt she wouldn't fight, but she hadn't promised to be a doormat. There was a middle ground, a warning shot that wouldn't reveal the full extent of her abilities, but would make Tyler think twice about crossing her again. "I'm going to give you one chance to back off," she said, looking Tyler directly in the eyes. "Not because I'm afraid of you, but because I don't want trouble." Tyler laughed, a harsh bark of sound. "Or what? You'll cry? Run to the principal?" Maya shook her head slightly. "No, Tyler, I'll defend myself. And trust me, you don't want that." Something in her tone must have registered, because for a brief moment, uncertainty flickered in Tyler's eyes. But surrounded by his friends, his pride wouldn't let him back down. "Let's see what you've got then, new girl," he said, reaching out to shove her shoulder. Maya moved before his hand made contact. A simple sidestep, nothing flashy, but executed with such precision that Tyler's momentum carried him forward off balance. She helped him along with the lightest of touches to his passing elbow, redirecting his motion. It was a basic technique, one of the first she'd ever learned. Use your opponent's force against them. Tyler stumbled, nearly falling before catching himself on the picnic table. His friends stared, momentarily frozen in surprise. "What the hell?" Tyler sputtered, straightening up, his face flushing with embarrassment. "Like I said," Maya replied calmly, "I don't want trouble. But I'm not afraid of you, and I'm not going to let you push me around." Tyler's expression darkened, humiliation fueling his anger. "You think that little dance move impresses me? Try that again, I dare you." Maya sighed. Tyler clearly wasn't going to back down without a more convincing demonstration. She shifted her stance slightly, centering her weight in preparation. Nothing too advanced, she told herself, just enough to make her point. "Your move," she said quietly. Tyler lunged forward, his movement telegraphed so clearly that Maya could have evaded it with her eyes closed. Instead of simply dodging, however, she caught his extended arm, using his momentum and a simple wrist lock to spin him around. In one fluid motion, she had Tyler's arm behind his back, applying just enough pressure to cause discomfort without injury. Tyler froze, a mixture of shock and pain registering on his face. His friend stood slack-jawed, clearly not expecting this outcome. "What the hell are you doing to him?" one of them demanded, stepping forward. "Nothing permanent," Maya replied calmly. "Just a demonstration." She released Tyler's arm and stepped back, giving him space. "We can keep going, or we can agree to leave each other alone. Your choice." Tyler rubbed his wrist, his expression a storm of confusion and rage. Being outmaneuvered by a girl half his size in front of his teammates was clearly not something he had anticipated. "This isn't over," he growled, but there was a new note in his voice, caution. "It could be," Maya offered. "I have no interest in fighting you, Tyler. I just want to go to school in peace." For a moment it seemed like Tyler might actually consider her offer. Then his gaze shifted to something over her shoulder, and his expression hardened again. "What's going on here?" Maya turned to see Alexa standing at the entrance to the courtyard, her eyes narrowed in suspicion. Behind her was a teacher Maya didn't recognize, an older man with a whistle around his neck. The football coach, she guessed. Tyler's father. "Nothing," Tyler said quickly, his demeanor shifting. "Just talking to the new girl." "Didn't look like talking to me," the coach said. approaching the group with Alexa close behind. "Everything all right here, miss?" "Chen," Maya supplied. "Maya Chen. And yes, everything's fine. We were just having a discussion." The coach looked between Maya and Tyler, clearly skeptical. "Bell rang 5 minutes ago. You should all be in class." "We were just leaving," Alexa said smoothly, taking Tyler's arm possessively. She shot Maya a venomous glare. "Weren't we, babe?" Tyler nodded, still rubbing his wrist. The look he gave Maya as Alexa led him away was filled with promises, none of them good. The coach lingered, studying Maya with curious eyes. "You're new here," he stated, rather than asked. "Yes, sir. Just started yesterday." He glanced toward the retreating figures of Tyler and Alexa. "Word of advice, Miss Chen. Some battles aren't worth fighting." Maya met his gaze steadily. "With all due respect, sir, I think people should be able to decide that for themselves." A flicker of something, respect perhaps, crossed the coach's weathered face. "Fair enough. Get to class now." As Maya hurried to her next class, she knew she had just crossed a line. The minor demonstration of her skills wouldn't be enough to expose her background, but it was enough to put her on Tyler's radar in a whole new way. And based on the look Alexa had given her, things were about to get much worse before they got better. But for the first time since her father's death, Maya felt a spark of her old self returning, the girl who faced challenges head-on, who believed in standing up for what was right. It was a small spark, but it was there. And sometimes, a spark was all you needed to start a fire. By the end of the school day, Maya's encounter with Tyler in the courtyard had spread through Westlake High like wildfire. As she walked to her last class, she could feel the stares and hear the whispers following her. Some were skeptical. How could the new girl possibly have stood up to Tyler Bennett? Others were exaggerated, claiming she'd flipped him over her shoulder or knocked him unconscious. The truth, as usual, lay somewhere in between. Maya kept her head high and her expression neutral, ignoring the attention as best she could. Inside, though, she was calculating. The confrontation with Tyler had forced her hand sooner than she'd expected, revealing a small fraction of her abilities. It wouldn't take much for someone to start asking questions, to look into her background, to discover who she had been before Westlake. As she entered her final class, AP Calculus, she spotted Zoe already seated near the back. The other girl waved her over excitedly. "Is it true?" Zoe whispered as Maya slid into the adjacent desk. "Did you really take down Tyler in the courtyard?" Maya sighed. "I didn't take him down. I just showed him I can defend myself." "That's not what everyone's saying," Zoe replied, eyes wide. "Ryan from the baseball team said you had Tyler in some kind of ninja hold." "It wasn't a ninja hold," Maya muttered. "It was a basic wrist lock. Anyone could learn it." Zoe studied her with newfound appreciation. "This is because of what you told us at lunch, isn't it? The whole martial arts champion thing?" Maya nodded reluctantly. "I didn't want to use any of that, but Tyler didn't give me much choice." "Do you think he'll back off now?" Maya considered the question as the teacher called the class to order. Would Tyler back off? Possibly. His pride had been wounded, but he'd also discovered she wasn't an easy target. However, she suspected Alexa wouldn't let the matter drop so easily. Girls like Alexa didn't surrender their territory without a fight. "I don't know," she whispered back as the teacher began writing equations on the board. "Let's hope so." Calculus provided a welcome distraction, the complex problems requiring enough focus to temporarily push aside thoughts of Tyler and Alexa. Maya had always been good with numbers. They were logical, predictable, unlike people. By the time the final bell rang, she felt calmer, more centered. That calm lasted precisely until she reached her locker. Someone had taped a piece of paper to the metal door. In bold red letters it read, Dead girl walking. Maya stared at the note, her expression unchanged despite the chill that ran down her spine. It wasn't the threat itself that bothered her. She'd faced down opponents who could actually back up their intimidation. It was the pettiness of it, the desperate need to assert dominance through fear. She pulled the paper down, crumpling it in her fist as a group of students passed by, watching her reaction. Maya met their curious gazes calmly, refusing to give them the satisfaction of seeing her rattled. "Real mature," a voice said from behind her. Maya turned to find Tanisha approaching, her own backpack slung over one shoulder. "Let me guess. Alexa's handiwork?" Maya shrugged, tossing the crumpled note into a nearby trash can. "Probably, though it lacks creativity." Tanisha leaned against the adjacent locker. "Everyone's talking about what happened in the courtyard. You're officially a legend now." "Great," Maya said dryly, retrieving her books from her locker. "Just what I wanted." "You should be careful heading home," Tanisha advised, her tone shifting to something more serious. "Tyler's pride is hurt, and guys like him don't handle that well." Maya nodded, appreciating the warning. "I can take care of myself." "I know you can," Tanisha replied with a small smile. "But still, watch your back." As they walked toward the exit together, Maya spotted Lily waiting by the doors, her wild red hair making her easy to identify even in the crowded hallway. She waved when she saw them approaching. "There you are," Lily said, relief evident in her voice. "I was starting to think they'd got you." "They?" Maya asked. "Tyler's friends have been looking for you," Lily explained in a hushed tone. "I overheard them talking in English. They're planning something." Maya felt her shoulders tense slightly. "What kind of something?" "I don't know exactly, but they mentioned catching you alone." Lily bit her lip. "I don't think they're planning to just talk." Tanisha straightened, her expression hardening. "They're not going to touch her." "It's fine," Maya said, though she felt a twinge of warmth at her new friend's protectiveness. "I'll be careful." "We're walking you home," Tanisha declared, not a question but a statement. "Safety in numbers." Maya started to protest but caught herself. In Chicago, she would have refused the offer, confident in her ability to handle any threat. But here in Westlake, she was trying to be different, less isolated, more open to connection. Besides, walking home with friends was a normal teenager thing to do. "Thanks," she said instead. "I'd appreciate that." The three girls exited the school together, stepping into the crisp autumn afternoon. The sun was already beginning its descent, casting long shadows across the campus. Students milled about, some heading to the parking lot, others to waiting buses or the athletic fields for practice. Maya scanned the area automatically, a habit ingrained from years of training. She spotted Tyler and his football teammates near the practice field, still in their regular clothes, not yet changed for practice. Tyler was gesturing animatedly, his expression dark. When he turned and saw Maya, he stopped mid-sentence, his eyes narrowing. "Ignore them," Tanisha murmured, noticing the exchange. "Just keep walking." They made it to the sidewalk without incident, turning in the direction of Maya's neighborhood. As they walked, Lily filled the silence with chatter about an upcoming poetry slam in Boston she was considering entering, her earlier anxiety gradually fading. "You should definitely enter," Tanisha encouraged. "Your poems are amazing." Lily blushed. "They're not that good." "Yes, they are," Tanisha insisted. "Maya, you should hear her perform sometime. It's incredible." "I'd like that," Maya said sincerely. Lily's blush deepened. "Well, maybe if you guys would come to the slam in Boston with me, for moral support." "Count me in," Tanisha said immediately. Maya nodded. "Me too." The simple exchange, friends making plans, supporting each other's passions, felt surprisingly normal. For a moment, Maya could almost forget the note on her locker, the threat lingering beneath Tyler's glare. Almost. The sound of an engine revving behind them broke the moment. Maya turned to see a black pickup truck slowing beside them, windows tinted too dark to see inside. The truck matched their pace, crawling along the curb. "Keep walking," Maya said quietly, positioning herself between her friends and the vehicle. The passenger window lowered, revealing one of Tyler's teammates, a senior named Derek, whom Maya recognized from the courtyard confrontation. His smile was all predatory amusement. "Hey there, new girl," he called out. "Need a ride?" "No thanks," Maya replied, maintaining her pace. "Aw, come on. It's gonna rain soon." Derek gestured to the darkening sky. "We're just being friendly." "We're good," Tanisha said firmly. Derek's smile faded. "Wasn't talking to you." His eyes fixed on Maya. "Tyler wants to finish your conversation from earlier." Maya felt Lily tense beside her. "Tell Tyler if he wants to talk, he can do it at school tomorrow, like a normal person." Derek laughed, the sound hollow and mean. "See, that's not how this works. You embarrassed him. Now he needs to set things straight." The truck slowed further, almost stopping. The back door opened, and another football player, Maya didn't know his name, stepped out, blocking their path on the sidewalk. Maya assessed the situation rapidly. The street was residential but currently empty of other pedestrians. The nearest house was set back from the road, unlikely to provide immediate assistance. 3 boys in the truck, possibly more in the back seat that she couldn't see. 2 friends to protect. Not ideal odds, but she'd faced worse. "Lily, Tanisha," she said calmly. "When I say run, head for that house with the blue shutters." She nodded toward a residence about 50 yards ahead. "Don't stop. Don't look back." "We're not leaving you," Tanisha protested. "Yes, you are," Maya replied, her tone leaving no room for argument. "Trust me." Before either girl could respond, the boy from the truck lunged forward, reaching for Maya's arm. She sidestepped smoothly, placing herself between him and her friends. "Run!" she shouted. To their credit, Lily and Tanisha hesitated only briefly before sprinting toward the blue-shuttered house. The boy cursed, starting after them, but Maya moved into his path. "Your problem's with me, not them," she said. Derek cursed from the truck, throwing open his door and jumping out. "Grab her," he shouted to his friend. "Don't let her get away too." The first boy charged Maya again, more determined this time. She waited until the last possible moment before pivoting, using his momentum against him just as she had with Tyler. But unlike Tyler, she didn't hold back this time. As he stumbled past, she stuck out her foot, sending him sprawling onto the sidewalk. Derek approached more cautiously, circling to her left, while the fallen boy scrambled to his feet. The truck had stopped completely now, the driver's door opening as a third boy emerged. 3-on-1, still manageable. "You really should have minded your own business," Derek said, his earlier friendly facade gone. "Tyler's gonna teach you a lesson you won't forget." "Where is Tyler anyway?" Maya asked, genuinely curious. "Sending his friends to do his dirty work?" Derek's face darkened. "He's got practice. Coach would notice if he was missing. But don't worry, he'll find you later." "Looking forward to it," Maya replied, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The 3 boys exchanged glances, some unspoken signal passing between them. Then they moved at once, attacking from different angles. Maya had been training for moments like this since she was 7 years old. Her body reacted on instinct, muscle memory taking over as she ducked the first boy's grab, blocked Derek's attempt to seize her arm, and delivered a precise strike to the third boy's solar plexus, not hard enough to cause lasting damage, but enough to knock the wind from his lungs. He doubled over, gasping. The other two hesitated, clearly not expecting such coordinated resistance. Maya used their momentary surprise to create distance, backing away toward the direction Lily and Tanisha had fled. "What the hell?" Derek muttered. "Who are you?" Maya didn't answer. Words were a distraction now, and she needed to focus. The first boy had recovered and was circling to her right, while Derek approached from the front. The third was still struggling to breathe, but straightening slowly. 3 against 1, Derek said with a forced laugh. "You can't win this." Maya's lips curved into the faintest of smiles. "Want to bet?" The first boy lunged again, telegraphing his movement so clearly that Maya almost felt sorry for him. She deflected his grasp with a simple forearm block, then swept his legs out from under him with a low kick. As he hit the ground, Derek charged, managing to grasp her sleeve. Maya didn't fight the hold. Instead, she stepped into it, using Derek's grip against him as she executed a perfect hip throw. Derek went airborne for a split second before landing hard on his back, the impact forcing the air from his lungs in an audible whoosh. The third boy, having finally caught his breath, looked from his fallen friends to Maya with newfound wariness. She met his gaze steadily, her stance relaxed but ready. "Still want to try?" she asked quietly. He backed away, shaking his head. "This is messed up," he muttered. Tyler didn't say anything about her being some kind of ninja. Maya almost laughed at the description. "I'm not a ninja," she corrected. "I'm just a girl who knows how to defend herself. Remember that next time you decide to ambush someone." Derek groaned from the ground, struggling to sit up. "This isn't over," he wheezed. "Yes, it is," Maya replied firmly. "Tell Tyler if he has a problem with me, he can face me himself. No trucks, no ambushes, no friends to back him up, just him and me." The challenge hung in the air as she backed away, keeping all 3 boys in her sight until she reached the corner. Then she turned and jogged toward the house with blue shutters, where she could see Lily and Tanisha watching anxiously from the porch. "Oh my God," Lily exclaimed as Maya approached. "Are you okay? We saw them surround you, and then Tanisha was going to call the police, but then you were throwing them around like rag dolls and—" "I'm fine," Maya interrupted, glancing back to confirm the boys were retreating to their truck. They weren't expecting much resistance. "That," Tanisha said, her voice filled with awe, "was the most badass thing I've ever seen in real life." Maya shrugged, suddenly self-conscious. She hadn't meant to reveal so much of her training, but the situation had left her little choice. "I told you I used to compete." "Compete?" Lily repeated incredulously. "Maya, you just took down 3 football players without breaking a sweat. That's not competing, that's superhero stuff." "It's really not," Maya insisted, though she couldn't help but feel a small glow of pride at her friend's amazement. "Anyone can learn self-defense." "Not like that," Tanisha said, shaking her head. "My brother would kill to have you demonstrate at his dojo." Maya felt a pang at the mention. Once, she would have jumped at such an opportunity. Now, the thought of stepping into a dojo, of teaching others what her father had taught her, brought equal measures of longing and pain. "Maybe someday," she said, not committing but not refusing outright either. It was more openness than she would have shown a week ago. As they continued their walk home, more cautious now and staying on main roads, Maya knew things had changed irrevocably. Her attempt at being a normal, invisible student was officially over. By tomorrow, everyone at Westlake would know exactly what she was capable of, and Tyler and Alexa would be planning their next move. The thought should have worried her, but instead, Maya felt something she hadn't experienced in months. Anticipation. Not fear, not dread, but the familiar tension before a match. The knowledge that she was being tested, and the confidence that she could meet the challenge. For the first time since her father's death, Maya felt fully awake, fully present in her own skin, and it felt good. Maya knew something was different the moment she stepped through the front door of her aunt's house. The air smelled of cinnamon and ginger, her aunt's stress-baking scent. Sarah Chen stood in the kitchen doorway, phone in hand, her expression a mixture of concern and disappointment. "I just got a very interesting call," Sarah said, holding up her phone, "from the mother of a boy named Derek Winters. Apparently you assaulted him and two of his friends after school today." Maya set her backpack down slowly. "That's not exactly what happened." "Then explain it to me," Sarah replied, crossing her arms. "Because Mrs. Winters is threatening to call the police." Maya took a deep breath and recounted the afternoon's events. The note on her locker, the truck following them, the attempted ambush. Sarah listened without interrupting, her expression gradually shifting from disappointment to concern. "They cornered you?" she asked when Maya finished. "3 boys in a truck?" Maya nodded. "They were trying to intimidate me, or worse." Sarah's jaw tightened. "Did they touch you?" "They tried," Maya said. "I didn't let them." A flicker of pride crossed Sarah's face before she masked it with parental authority. "You should have called me, or the police. There wasn't time," Maya explained, "and I needed to protect Lily and Tanisha." Sarah sighed, rubbing her temples. "Maya, when I said you needed a fresh start, I didn't mean you should hide who you are. I just wanted you to have a chance at a normal teenage experience without the pressure of competition, without," she hesitated, "without the memories." Maya looked down at her hands, fighter's hands her father had called them, strong, precise, capable, hands he had trained, guided, molded. "I know," she said quietly, "but I can't pretend to be helpless when I'm not even to fit in." Sarah crossed the room and pulled Maya into a tight hug. "I would never want you to," she whispered. "I just worry about you. After everything that happened in Chicago." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Both of them carried the weight of that night, the screeching tires, the shattering glass, the aftermath that had sent them both fleeing to this small town in search of peace. "I'm okay," Maya said, returning the hug. "Really?" Sarah pulled back, studying her niece's face. "Are you? Because getting into fights your second day at a new school doesn't sound okay to me." "I didn't start it," Maya pointed out. "But you'll finish it?" Sarah asked, a knowing look in her eyes. Maya couldn't help but smile. It was something her father used to say. Never start a fight, but always be prepared to finish one. The echo of him in that moment was so strong it almost hurt. "I'll try to stay out of trouble," she promised, "but I won't let them push me around." Sarah nodded, resignation and understanding mingling in her expression. "That's fair. But Maya," she added, her tone serious again, "if this escalates, if you feel threatened, you come to me. Immediately. No heroics, no handling it yourself. Understand?" "I understand," Maya agreed. Sarah squeezed her shoulder. "Good. Now help me with dinner. I made enough stir-fry to feed an army." As they worked side by side in the kitchen, Maya felt some of the day's tension melting away. Her aunt didn't ask more questions about the fight, but Maya could see her watching with a thoughtful expression. "What?" Maya asked finally. Sarah smiled faintly. "Nothing. You seem different today. More like your old self." Maya considered this as she chopped vegetables. Was she more like her old self? The girl who had lived for competition, who had never backed down from a challenge? The girl whose life had revolved around training and fighting and winning? Maybe. But she was also someone new. Someone who valued friendship and connection, who fought to protect others rather than just to win medals. Someone who was learning to integrate her past with her present. "I think I'm finding a balance," she said finally. Sarah nodded as if this was exactly what she'd been hoping to hear. "Good. That's all I want for you, Maya. Balance. Happiness." After dinner, Maya retreated to her room to tackle her homework, but her mind kept drifting back to the confrontation after school. Derek's stunned expression, the way the third boy had backed away from her, calling her a ninja. Word would spread quickly in a school like Westlake. By tomorrow, everyone would know what she'd done. Her phone buzzed with an incoming text. It was from Zoe. "OMG, just heard what happened after school. Are you okay? Call me." Maya smiled and dialed Zoe's number. Her friend picked up on the first ring. "Tell me everything," Zoe demanded without preamble. "Tanisha said you went full Karate Kid on Tyler's friends." "Not exactly," Maya replied, settling back against her pillows. "But they did try to ambush us, and I did defend myself." "Tanisha said you threw Derek over your shoulder." "It was more of a hip throw, actually." Zoe's excited squeal made Maya pull the phone away from her ear. "This is the coolest thing that's ever happened at Westlake. Nobody stands up to Tyler's crew. Nobody." "Well, somebody should," Maya said. "They can't just terrorize people because they think they're untouchable." "Tell that to Tyler's dad," Zoe replied, her tone shifting. "Coach Bennett is furious. Apparently Derek's mom called him demanding your head on a platter." Maya frowned. "What did Coach Bennett say?" "No idea. But Tyler's been posting cryptic threats on social media all evening. Nothing specific enough to get him in trouble, but everyone knows they're directed at you." Maya sighed. She'd expected as much. "They'll move on eventually." "I don't think so," Zoe said, her voice unusually serious. "You didn't just embarrass them, Maya. You scared them. Guys like Tyler and Derek, they're not used to feeling powerless. They won't let this go." "Then I'll handle whatever comes next," Maya replied simply. "Just be careful, okay? Alexa can be vicious when she feels threatened. And right now, you're the biggest threat to her social standing that Westlake's seen in years." After hanging up, Maya tried to focus on her calculus homework, but Zoe's warning kept echoing in her head. She wasn't afraid of Tyler or his friends, not physically at least, but Alexa was another matter. Girls like her didn't fight with fists. They fought with rumors, with social exclusion, with carefully orchestrated humiliation. Maya's phone buzzed again, an unknown number. The text read simply, "You're dead meat tomorrow. Sleep tight, ninja girl." Maya stared at the message, feeling a familiar calm settle over her, the same focus that had carried her through countless tournaments. She wasn't looking for a war, but if they insisted on bringing one to her doorstep, she wouldn't cower. She set her phone aside without replying and returned to her calculus. Derivatives were more deserving of her attention than idle threats. The next morning dawned gray and misty, the autumn chill seeping through Maya's jacket as she walked to school. She'd declined her aunt's offer of a ride, needing the time to clear her head and prepare for whatever awaited her at Westlake. She arrived early again, the hallways still mostly empty. As she approached her locker, she immediately noticed the change. Where yesterday there had been a single threatening note, today the metal door was completely covered in papers, each bearing a different message. Freak. Go home. Psycho. Ninja bitch. Maya stood perfectly still, taking in the display with detached interest. It was amateur psychological warfare, designed to intimidate, to make her feel isolated and targeted. Behind her she heard footsteps and hushed laughter, students arriving early specifically to witness her reaction. With deliberate calm, Maya began removing the papers one by one, her expression neutral as she collected them into a neat stack. She could feel the disappointed stares of the onlookers who had clearly hoped for tears or anger or some visible sign that the attack had landed. "Need some help with that?" Maya turned to find Tanisha beside her, already reaching to tear down the papers on the upper part of the locker that Maya couldn't easily reach. A moment later, Lily and Zoe appeared, joining the cleanup effort without a word. "Thanks," Maya said quietly as they worked. Don't mention it, Zoe replied, crumpling a particularly vulgar note with disgust. This is pathetic even for Alexa. Speaking of, Lily murmured, nodding toward the end of the hallway. Alexa stood watching them, flanked by her usual entourage. Her expression was cold, calculating, as if she were assessing the effectiveness of her attack. When she saw Maya looking, she smiled, a sharp, threatening thing with no warmth. Maya held her gaze for a long moment, then deliberately turned her back, continuing to clear her locker. It was a dismissal, a statement that Alexa's tactics weren't even worthy of acknowledgement. She heard the sharp intake of breath from several onlookers. No one turned their back on Alexa Donovan. "Oh, she is not happy," Zoe whispered, sneaking a glance over her shoulder. "If looks could kill—" Maya shrugged, opening her now-cleared locker to retrieve her books. "She'll have to try harder than notes and staring contests if she wants to intimidate me." "I think that's exactly what she's planning," Lily said nervously. "Alexa never backs down, and she has the whole school wrapped around her finger." "Not the whole school," Tanisha corrected, looking meaningfully at their small group. Maya felt a surge of gratitude for these three girls who had so quickly aligned themselves with her despite the social risks. In Chicago, she'd had training partners but few real friends. Competition had always come first. Here, in this unlikeliest of places, she was finding something she hadn't realized she needed. The first bell rang, signaling 10 minutes until classes began. Students were filing into the building now, many slowing as they passed Maya's locker, whispering and staring. News of the previous day's fight had clearly spread overnight. "We should get to class," Lily suggested, eyeing the growing crowd uneasily. Maya nodded, closing her locker. As they turned to leave, she found their path blocked by Tyler and two of his teammates. Not Derek or the others from yesterday, but new faces, equally intimidating in size. "Excuse us," Tanisha said firmly, attempting to step around them. Tyler moved to block her, his eyes fixed on Maya. Not so fast. His voice was low, controlled, but Maya could see the anger simmering beneath the surface. "We need to talk." "I'm not interested in talking," Maya replied calmly. "And I'll be late for class." "You made my friends look like idiots yesterday," Tyler continued as if she hadn't spoken. "That doesn't happen without consequences." Maya sighed, her patience wearing thin. "They ambushed me 3 against 1 and still lost. They made themselves look like idiots." Tyler's jaw tightened. "You think you're tough, don't you? Some kind of badass fighter girl?" "I think I have the right to walk home without being harassed," Maya countered. "Now move or I'll move you." The threat hung in the air, drawing gasps from the watching students. Tyler's eyes narrowed dangerously, but before he could respond, another voice cut through the tension. "Is there a problem here, Mr. Bennett?" Principal Gardner, a tall woman with salt and pepper hair and sharp eyes, stood watching the confrontation with obvious disapproval. Tyler stepped back immediately, his demeanor shifting. "No problem, Principal Gardner. Just welcoming the new student." Gardner's gaze moved from Tyler to Maya, skepticism evident in her expression. "Is that right, Miss Chen?" Maya considered her options. She could report Tyler's intimidation, but that would only escalate the situation. And despite everything, she still hoped to resolve this without administrative intervention. "Just a misunderstanding," she said finally. "We're all heading to class now." Gardner studied her for a moment longer, clearly not believing the explanation, but unwilling to press without a complaint. "See that you do. The bell rings in 3 minutes." As the principal walked away, Tyler leaned in close to Maya, his voice a harsh whisper. "This isn't over. Not even close." "It could be," Maya replied quietly, "if you were smart enough to walk away." Tyler's eyes flashed with renewed anger. But he said nothing more, turning abruptly and stalking down the hallway, his friends following close behind. "That was intense," Zoe murmured as they hurried to their respective classes. "Are you really not worried?" Maya considered the question. Was she worried? Not about her physical safety. She was confident in her ability to defend herself. But there were other concerns. The unwanted attention, the potential escalation, the impact on her fresh start at Westlake. "I'm not worried," she said finally, "but I am prepared." It was the fighter's mindset her father had instilled in her. Respect your opponent, anticipate their strategy, but never fear them. Fear was the enemy of focus, and focus was everything. As Maya slipped into her seat just as the final bell rang, she couldn't help but wonder what Alexa and Tyler were planning next. Because despite her calm exterior, she knew this was far from over. The battle for Westlake High had only just begun. The morning passed in a blur of classes and whispers. Everywhere Maya went, conversation stopped only to resume in hushed tones once she passed. Some students gave her a wide berth in the hallways, while others stared openly, assessing her with newfound interest. By lunchtime, the rumors had evolved from merely taking down 3 football players to having black belts in 7 different martial arts and being expelled from her last school for putting someone in the hospital. "Apparently, you're also trained in ninja stealth techniques," Zoe reported as they gathered at their courtyard table. "And you can kill a man with your thumb." Maya nearly choked on her water. "My thumb?" "That's what Justin from chemistry is saying." Zoe grinned. "The stories are getting more ridiculous by the hour." "I heard you were in witness protection," Lily added, unwrapping her sandwich. "That's why you moved here. You testified against the mob in Chicago." Tanisha snorted. "Please, if she were in witness protection, she wouldn't be drawing this much attention to herself." Maya shook her head, amused despite the absurdity. "For the record, I have exactly 1 black belt. I've never put anyone in the hospital, and I definitely can't kill anyone with my thumb." "But you could if you wanted to, right?" Zoe pressed, eyes wide with mischief. "No comment," Maya replied with a small smile. The banter felt good, normal in a way that little else had since her arrival at Westlake. These girls accepted her, rumors and fighting skills and all. It was unexpectedly comforting. "Seriously though," Tanisha said, lowering her voice, "you should see how people are looking at you. It's like they can't decide if they're terrified or impressed." "Mostly terrified in Alexa's case," Lily observed, nodding toward the cafeteria entrance. Alexa stood there with 2 of her friends, her gaze fixed on Maya with undisguised hostility. After a moment, she said something to her companions and strode purposefully toward their table. "Incoming," Zoe muttered. "This should be interesting." Maya straightened, watching Alexa's approach with calm alertness. The blonde girl stopped a few feet from their table, her designer clothes and perfect makeup creating a stark contrast to their casual attire. "We need to talk," Alexa said, addressing Maya directly while ignoring the others. "So talk," Maya replied, not moving from her seat. Alexa's eyes narrowed at the lack of deference. "Alone." Maya considered the request. It could be a trap, but somehow she doubted Alexa would try anything physical after yesterday's demonstration, and part of her was curious to hear what the other girl had to say. "It's fine," she told her friends, standing up. "I'll be right back." Tanisha looked skeptical but nodded. "We'll be right here if you need us." Maya followed Alexa to a secluded corner of the courtyard, out of earshot but still within sight of her friends. Alexa turned to face her, arms crossed defensively across her chest. "Let's cut the crap," Alexa said, her voice clipped. "What's your angle?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "My angle?" "Nobody transfers to Westlake senior year unless they have to," Alexa continued. "Nobody stands up to Tyler on their first day unless they're looking for trouble. And nobody Fights like you do, without a serious background. Her eyes narrowed. So what's your story? Why are you really here? The directness of the question caught Maya off guard. She'd expected threats or insults, not this almost businesslike inquiry. My father died, she said after a moment, the truth simple and stark. I moved here to live with my aunt. That's it. Something flickered in Alexa's expression. Surprise, perhaps, or the faintest trace of sympathy, quickly masked. And the fighting? Maya shrugged. I trained competitively in Chicago, mixed martial arts mostly. How competitively? National level. Alexa nodded slowly, as if this confirmed a suspicion. You know Tyler's not going to let this go, right? You humiliated him twice now. His ego can't handle it. I didn't start either confrontation, Maya pointed out. Doesn't matter, Alexa replied with a dismissive wave. What matters is that you made him look weak. For guys like Tyler, that's unforgivable. Maya studied Alexa's face, trying to read her intentions. Why are you telling me this? I thought you'd be leading the charge against me, not warning me. Alexa's perfect features arranged themselves into a calculated smile. Consider it a professional courtesy, one fighter to another. Maya frowned, confused. You're not a fighter. Aren't I? Alexa laughed, the sound lacking any real humor. You think what I do is so different from what you do? We both know how to read people, how to find weaknesses, how to strike when it matters. The only difference is the arena. There was something almost admirable in Alexa's self-awareness, Maya had to admit. She wasn't deluding herself about who she was or what she did. So what now? Maya asked. You've sized me up. What's your conclusion? Alexa studied her for a long moment. My conclusion is that you're dangerous, but not to me, not directly. You don't care about being popular. You don't want my spot in the social hierarchy. You just want to be left alone. She tilted her head slightly. But Tyler, he's a different story. He sees you as a direct challenge to his authority, his masculinity, his whole identity. That sounds like his problem, not mine. It's your problem too, Alexa insisted. Because he's going to keep coming after you until one of you breaks. And despite your impressive skills, he has numbers on his side, the whole football team, most of the student body, half the teachers, including his dad. Maya felt a chill that had nothing to do with the autumn air. Is that a threat? It's a reality check, Alexa corrected. This isn't some martial arts tournament with rules and referees. This is high school. It's messy and unfair and brutal in ways that have nothing to do with physical fighting. Why do you care? Maya asked, genuinely curious. Wouldn't it be easier for you if Tyler took me down a peg? Alexa's smile turned enigmatic. Maybe I respect a worthy opponent. Or maybe I just enjoy the drama. She glanced over at Maya's friends who were watching their conversation with obvious concern. Choose your allies carefully, Maya Chen. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. With that, she turned and walked away, leaving Maya with more questions than answers. What had that been about? A warning? A threat? Some kind of twisted respect? Maya couldn't be sure, but one thing was clear. Alexa Donovan was more complex than she'd initially assumed. Maya returned to her friends, who immediately bombarded her with questions. What did she want? Did she threaten you? Are you okay? Maya sat down, trying to process the strange conversation. I'm fine. She just wanted to talk. About what? Zoe pressed. About Tyler. About me. Maya shrugged. It was weird, almost like she was warning me. Tanisha looked skeptical. Alexa doesn't warn people. She destroys them. Maybe, Maya conceded, but I think she's playing a longer game here. The warning bell rang, signaling the end of lunch period. As they gathered their things, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had just happened. A shifting of battle lines, perhaps, or the reveal of unexpected depths in an opponent she'd too quickly dismissed. The afternoon passed without incident, but Maya remained on high alert, processing Alexa's words. By the time the final bell rang, she had come to a decision. No more passive defense. If Tyler and his friends were determined to keep coming after her, she needed to be proactive. She found Tanisha at her locker after the last class. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure," Tanisha replied, slinging her backpack over her shoulder. "You mentioned your brother runs a dojo in Boston." Tanisha nodded. "Yeah, East Side Combat Academy. Why?" "Does he have a heavy bag I could use? Some open mat time?" Understanding dawned on Tanisha's face. "You want to train?" Maya nodded. "It's been months. I'm rusty." "And you think you're going to need your skills?" Tanisha guessed, her expression serious. "I hope not," Maya replied honestly. "But after what Alexa said, I'd rather be prepared." Tanisha pulled out her phone. "I'll call him right now. He's always looking for talented fighters to help with demonstrations. I'm sure he'd love to have you." As Tanisha made the call, Maya spotted Tyler watching her from down the hallway. He was surrounded by teammates as usual, but something in his posture had changed. A new wariness that hadn't been there before. Alexa stood a few feet away, her back to him, pretending to be engaged in conversation with her friends while clearly monitoring his reaction. What was the dynamic there, Maya wondered. Alexa had talked about Tyler as if he were a separate entity, not an extension of herself. Interesting. "You're all set," Tanisha announced, putting her phone away. "Marcus says you can come by the dojo anytime. He's there most evenings until 9. "Thanks," Maya said, genuinely grateful. "Maybe tomorrow?" "Works for me. I'll introduce you." As they walked toward the exit, Maya felt some of the tension leave her shoulders. The familiar routine of training would help center her, give her something concrete to focus on beyond the social warfare of Westlake High. They were almost to the doors when Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Lily. "Emergency, girls' locker room, now." Maya exchanged a quick glance with Tanisha before they both changed direction, hurrying toward the gymnasium. The hallways were mostly empty now, the majority of students having already left for the day. They found Lily standing outside the girls' locker room, her face pale with distress. "It's Zoe," she blurted as soon as she saw them. Alexa's friends cornered her after last period. They've got her trapped in there. Maya's blood ran cold. "Where's Alexa?" "I don't know," Lily replied, wringing her hands. "I was passing by and heard them threatening her. Something about teaching her a lesson for hanging out with you." Maya's jaw tightened. So this was how it was going to be. Not direct confrontation, but targeting her friends. It was cowardly, but effective. "Tanisha, get a teacher," she instructed, her voice calm despite the anger building inside her. "Lily, stay here and keep watch. I'm going in." "Maya, there are at least 4 of them," Lily warned. "Shouldn't we wait for help?" "Zoe can't wait," Maya replied, already pushing open the locker room door. "Don't worry, I've got this." The locker room was dimly lit, the overhead fluorescents partially shut off now that classes were over for the day. Maya moved silently through the rows of lockers, following the sound of voices echoing from the shower area. "No one's coming to save you, freak," a girl's voice taunted. "Everyone's gone home." "I haven't done anything to you," Zoe's voice replied, shaky but defiant. "Just let me go." "You chose the wrong friends," another voice chimed in. "Hanging out with that psycho new girl? What did you think was going to happen?" Maya rounded the corner to find Zoe backed against the shower wall, surrounded by 4 girls, all members of Alexa's inner circle. One of them held Zoe's glasses just out of reach, while another had Zoe's backpack open, water from the shower threatening to drip onto the contents. Let her go, Maya said, her voice cutting through the tense atmosphere like a blade. All 5 girls turned to look at her. Zoe's expression flooded with relief, while the others showed varying degrees of shock and alarm. "This doesn't concern you," the tallest girl said, though her voice wavered slightly. "Zoe is my friend," Maya replied, taking a step forward. "That makes it my concern." The girls exchanged nervous glances. They had clearly expected to deal with Zoe alone, not to face the girl who had taken down 3 football players the day before. "Alexa said," one of them began. "I don't care what Alexa said," Maya interrupted. "Give Zoe her glasses and her bag and walk away. Now." For a moment Maya thought they might comply. Then the tall girl straightened, emboldened perhaps by their superior numbers. "Or what? You'll beat us up too? Try it and you'll be expelled so fast your head will spin." Maya took another step forward, her movements deliberate and controlled. "I don't need to beat anyone up," she said quietly. "But I won't let you hurt my friend." The tension in the room was palpable, a delicate balance that could tip either way. Then the locker room door banged open, and Tanisha's voice rang out. "Coach Williams is on her way. 30 seconds." The announcement had the desired effect. The tall girl thrust Zoe's glasses back at her, while another shoved the backpack into her arms. "This isn't over," she hissed at Maya as the group hurried past, disappearing into the main locker area. As soon as they were gone, Maya rushed to Zoe's side. "Are you okay? Did they hurt you?" Zoe shook her head, hands trembling as she put her glasses back on. "I'm fine. They were waiting for me after gym. Said they wanted to talk, then wouldn't let me leave." She looked up at Maya, her eyes wide. "They said this was just the beginning, that everyone who sides with you is going to regret it." Maya felt a surge of guilt. "I'm sorry, Zoe. This is my fault." "No," Zoe said firmly, despite her still shaking hands. "It's their fault. They're the ones who can't stand that someone finally stood up to them." Tanisha appeared in the doorway, Lily close behind. "Coach Williams is checking the parking lot," Tanisha reported. "I told her we thought we heard someone in trouble." Maya nodded her thanks. "We should go. All of us together." As they left the school, Maya couldn't shake the sense of responsibility. She had stood up to Alexa and Tyler because it was the right thing to do, but she hadn't fully considered the consequences for those who aligned themselves with her. Now her friends were targets too. "Don't even think about it," Tanisha said as they walked, reading Maya's expression. "We're not ditching you just because Alexa's crew is playing dirty." "They're bullies," Lily added. "They were before you got here, and they will be after you leave. At least now someone's standing up to them." Zoe nodded, her earlier fear replaced with determination. "We stick together. That's how we win." Maya looked at her 3 friends, unlikely allies she'd found in this strange new chapter of her life. Their loyalty moved her more than she could express. "Together then," she agreed quietly. But as they parted ways at the corner, Maya made a silent vow. She would not let her friends become casualties in this war. Whatever came next, she would be ready. And this time, she wouldn't hold back. East Side Combat Academy occupied the ground floor of a renovated warehouse in downtown Boston. The space was larger than Maya had expected, with padded floors, mirrored walls, and an assortment of training equipment arranged neatly around the perimeter. The familiar smells of sweat and sanitizer brought a wave of nostalgia so powerful it almost took her breath away. "You okay?" Tanisha asked as they stepped inside, noticing Maya's hesitation. "Yeah," Maya replied, though her heart was racing. "It's just been a while." The last time she'd been in a dojo was the day before her father's accident. They had been preparing for the national championships, working on a new combination that had given her trouble. "Patience," her father had told her. Focus on the movement, not the outcome. The next day, he was gone. Tanisha led her across the main floor, where a class of elementary-age children was practicing basic strikes under the supervision of a young instructor. At the far end, a tall, broad-shouldered man was adjusting a heavy bag. He looked up as they approached, his face breaking into a warm smile. "There she is," he called out, crossing the room to envelop Tanisha in a bear hug. "And this must be Maya." "Maya, this is my brother Marcus," Tanisha introduced them. "Marcus, Maya Chen." Marcus extended his hand, his grip firm but not challenging. "Tanisha tells me you're quite the fighter." Maya returned the handshake. "I used to compete." "National level," she said. Marcus studied her with professional interest. "What style?" "Mixed. My father trained in traditional kung fu, but he believed in adapting, incorporating elements from different disciplines." Marcus nodded approvingly. "Smart man. The best fighters are versatile." He gestured around the dojo. "Make yourself at home. We've got open mat time after the kids' class wraps up in about 20 minutes. Heavy bags are free now if you want to warm up." "Thanks," Maya said, genuinely grateful for the welcome. As Marcus returned to his class, Tanisha led Maya to the changing area. "He's impressed," she said, "and trust me, Marcus doesn't impress easily." Maya changed into the workout clothes she'd brought, black leggings and a fitted tank top. The outfit was practical, designed for movement, but looking at her reflection in the locker room mirror, she felt a strange disconnect. The girl staring back at her looked like the old Maya, the fighter, the competitor, the athlete. But was that still who she was? She pushed the thought aside and followed Tanisha back to the main floor, where Marcus was dismissing his young students. As the children filtered out with their parents, the dojo gradually emptied, leaving just a handful of serious practitioners warming up for the adult class. "The heavy bags are all yours," Tanisha said, pointing to a row of bags hanging along one wall. "I'm going to help Marcus set up for the next class, but take your time." Maya approached the nearest bag, running her hand over its surface. How many thousands of strikes had she thrown in her training? How many hours had she spent perfecting each movement under her father's watchful eye? She took a deep breath and settled into her stance, feet shoulder-width apart, weight evenly distributed, hands raised in guard position. The posture was so familiar it felt like coming home. Maya threw a tentative jab, feeling the satisfying impact against the bag. Then another, with more confidence. A cross, a hook, an elbow strike. Her body remembered what her mind had tried to forget, muscle memory taking over as she found her rhythm. Soon she was flowing through combinations, her strikes precise and powerful, her movements fluid and controlled. The world narrowed to just her and the bag, everything else falling away, Westlake High, Alexa and Tyler, even her grief. In this moment, she was just a fighter again, doing what she was born to do. "Nice form," a voice commented. Maya paused, breathing hard, to find Marcus watching her with professional appreciation. "Thanks," she managed between breaths. "Your technique is excellent," he continued. "Compact, efficient, no wasted movement. You can tell you've had quality training." Maya felt a surge of pride at the compliment to her father's teaching. "I had a good instructor." "I can see that." Marcus handed her a towel. "Tanisha told me a little about your situation, said you haven't trained in a while." 6 months, Maya confirmed, wiping sweat from her face. Marcus nodded thoughtfully. "Well, you haven't lost much. A little conditioning maybe, but the skills are still there." He paused, studying her. "She also mentioned you might be having some trouble at school. Kids giving you a hard time?" Maya considered how much to share. "Something like that. A group of bullies didn't like it when I stood up to them. And now they're targeting you and your friends," Marcus guessed shrewdly. "Yeah." I handled the physical confrontation, but I'm worried about what comes next. Marcus leaned against the wall, his expression thoughtful. Fighting's the easy part for someone with your training. It's knowing when and how to use those skills that's the real challenge. My dad used to say the same thing, Maya said with a small smile. He always told me that being able to fight meant having the responsibility not to. Smart man, Marcus repeated his earlier assessment. Look, Maya, the dojo's open to you whenever you want to train, no charge. Any friend of Tanisha's is family here. The offer was unexpectedly generous. Thank you. That means a lot. Just one condition, Marcus added, his tone turning serious. If things escalate at school, if you ever feel like you're in over your head, you call me. Day or night. Understood? Maya nodded, touched by his concern. Understood. As the adult class began, Maya and Tanisha moved to a quieter corner of the dojo to work on specific techniques. Maya demonstrated some basic self-defense moves that Tanisha could teach Zoe and Lily, simple but effective responses to common grabs and holds. Nothing fancy, Maya explained as she showed Tanisha how to break a wrist grab, just enough to create distance and get away. Tanisha practiced the movement until she could execute it smoothly. You're a good teacher, she observed. Ever thought about instructing? Maya shook her head. Not really. That was always my dad's role. I was just the student. Well, you've got a knack for it, Tanisha insisted. Maybe someday. Maybe someday. The words echoed in Maya's mind as they continued training. A future she hadn't allowed herself to imagine since her father's death, one where martial arts was still part of her life, where his legacy lived on through her teaching. The thought was both painful and comforting, like pressing on a bruise to test its tenderness. By the time they left the dojo, darkness had fallen over Boston. Maya felt physically tired but mentally refreshed, the familiar exertion of training having cleared her head in a way nothing else had since moving to Westlake. Thanks for bringing me, she told Tanisha as they waited for the train back to the suburbs. I needed this more than I realized. Tanisha bumped her shoulder gently. Anytime. Seriously, Marcus meant what he said. You're welcome there whenever you want. On the train ride home, Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Zoe. Heads up, Tyler's planning something for tomorrow. Jessica from Yearbook overheard him talking to his friends after practice. Be careful. Maya showed the message to Tanisha, who frowned. Any details? No, Maya replied, typing a quick thank you to Zoe. But I'm not surprised. After what happened with his friends the other day, and then Alexa's crew going after Zoe, they're escalating. Tanisha looked worried. Maybe we should tell someone, a teacher, the principal. Maya considered this. In an ideal world, adult intervention would solve the problem. But Westlake was far from ideal, with its complex power dynamics and blind spots where certain students were concerned. Not yet, she decided. We don't have anything concrete to report. Let's see what happens tomorrow. But as the train sped through the darkness, carrying them back to Westlake, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that tomorrow would bring a confrontation she couldn't avoid. She was right. The next morning dawned clear and cold, the first true hint of winter in the air. Maya arrived at school early as usual, cautious but ready for whatever Tyler might have planned. She found Lily waiting for her at the front entrance, nervously shifting from foot to foot. Zoe and Tanisha are already inside, Lily reported as Maya approached. No sign of Tyler or his crew yet, but... She hesitated. But what? Maya prompted. But Alexa cornered me in the parking lot. She said to tell you that Tyler's planning to catch you after school. Something about finishing what his friends started. Maya frowned. Alexa warned you. I know, weird, right? Lily shook her head in confusion. She seemed almost concerned, but then she called me a freak and walked away, so who knows? The complexity of Alexa Donovan continued to intrigue Maya. The queen bee of Westlake was playing her own game, one with rules Maya hadn't quite deciphered yet. They found Zoe and Tanisha waiting by Maya's locker, both looking tense. "Did Lily tell you?" Zoe asked without preamble. Maya nodded. "Thanks for the warning last night." "Jessica said Tyler was really worked up," Zoe continued in a low voice. "Kept saying he was going to put you in your place, once and for all." "Charming," Maya remarked dryly, though internally she was calculating. Tyler was angry, humiliated, and feeling threatened. That made him dangerous. Not because he could hurt her physically, but because desperation might push him to more extreme measures. "We stick together today," Tanisha declared. "No one goes anywhere alone." The others nodded in agreement, and Maya felt that now familiar surge of gratitude for these friends who had so quickly become her allies. Whatever Tyler was planning, they would face it together. The morning passed without incident, though Maya remained on high alert, noting Tyler's absence from the hallways where he usually held court between classes. By lunchtime, the tension had her wound tight as a spring. "Maybe he's not coming to school today," Lily suggested hopefully, as they claimed their usual table in the courtyard. "He's here," Tanisha replied, nodding toward the cafeteria doors. "I saw him in the gym earlier. He's definitely up to something." Maya unwrapped her sandwich, her appetite diminished by the waiting. "Let him come," she said quietly. "I'm tired of looking over my shoulder." "What are you going to do if he confronts you again?" Zoe asked. "Defend myself if necessary. Try to de-escalate if possible." Maya had thought about this extensively during her late-night training session with Marcus. "But I won't back down, and I won't let him or his friends threaten any of you." They ate in silence for a few minutes, each lost in their own thoughts. Then Lily straightened suddenly, her eyes widening. "Incoming," she whispered. Maya looked up to see Alexa approaching their table alone, no entourage, no backup. Like her conversation with Maya the previous day, this was a deliberate choice, and it immediately put Maya on alert. "We need to talk," Alexa said without preamble. "All of you." The four friends exchanged glances. "So talk," Tanisha replied, echoing Maya's words from their previous encounter. Alexa glanced around the courtyard, checking for eavesdroppers. "Not here. Somewhere private." "Why should we trust you?" Zoe demanded, adjusting her glasses nervously. "Your friends cornered me in the locker room yesterday." Something like regret flickered across Alexa's perfect features. "I know. That wasn't—" She paused, seeming to struggle with the words. "That wasn't what I wanted." Maya studied her carefully. "What did you want?" "To send a message," Alexa admitted. "But not like that. It got out of hand." "Out of hand?" Tanisha repeated incredulously. "They threatened her." "I know," Alexa said again, and for the first time since Maya had met her, the queen bee of Westlake looked genuinely uncomfortable. "That's part of what I need to talk to you about. Tyler's planning something for after school. Something serious." "We already know," Maya replied. "No, you don't," Alexa insisted, her voice dropping even lower. "He's got half the football team involved. They're going to catch you in the parking lot. And they're not just planning to scare you this time." The warning hung in the air, its implications clear. "Why are you telling us this?" Maya asked, the question that had been bothering her since yesterday. "I thought Tyler was your boyfriend." Alexa's expression hardened. "He is, but that doesn't mean I control him, or that I agree with everything he does." She straightened, gathering her composure like a cloak. "Look, Maya, I respect what you did, standing up to me, to Tyler. It took guts, but this is getting out of hand and someone's going to get hurt." "So what do you suggest?" Maya asked. "Avoid the main parking lot after school. Take the side exit by the science wing. It's usually empty. The warning seemed genuine, which only confused Maya further. Why help us? What's in it for you? Alexa's smile was tight, almost sad. Maybe I'm tired of the game. Or maybe I just don't want to see Tyler ruin his future over some stupid vendetta. She turned to leave, then paused, looking back at them. Your choice if you believe me or not. But if I were you, I'd take the science exit. As she walked away, the four friends stared at each other in stunned silence. Is she for real? Zoe finally asked. I think so, Maya replied slowly. But the question is, what do we do now? The four friends spent the remainder of lunch debating Alexa's warning. Tanisha was skeptical, arguing it could be a trap to lure them into a more isolated area. Zoe thought Alexa seemed genuinely concerned. Lily wavered between the two perspectives, unable to decide if the queen bee's sudden change of heart was believable. Maya listened to all their arguments, weighing each point carefully. Finally, as the warning bell rang, she made her decision. We'll take the science exit, she announced, but we'll stay alert. If it feels wrong, we bail immediately. And if it is a trap, Tanisha pressed. Maya's expression hardened slightly. Then we deal with it. Together. The rest of the day crawled by, each class seeming longer than the last. Maya found it nearly impossible to concentrate, her mind continuously running through possible scenarios and strategies. By the time the final bell rang, her nerves were wound tight, though her outward demeanor remained calm. The four friends met at Lily's locker, which was closest to the science wing. The hallways were already filled with students rushing toward freedom, their weekend plans the only thing on their minds. Nobody paid attention to the small group moving deliberately against the flow of traffic. Tyler's by the main entrance with at least 6 of his teammates, Zoe reported, checking her phone. Jessica just texted me. Maya nodded, her suspicions confirmed. Let's go. They moved through the rapidly emptying hallways, Tanisha taking point, Maya bringing up the rear, with Zoe and Lily protected in the middle. The formation was instinctive, a natural arrangement that highlighted how quickly they had become a unit. The science wing was deserted, most of the classrooms already dark and locked for the weekend. A set of double doors at the end of the hallway led to a small parking area, primarily used by teachers. Beyond that lay a wooded path that connected to the main road, offering a roundabout way to leave campus without passing through the main lot. Coast looks clear, Tanisha said, peering through the small windows in the doors. They pushed through into the crisp afternoon air, immediately scanning the parking area for threats. It was nearly empty, just a few cars belonging to science department faculty who stayed late on Fridays. No sign of Tyler or any of his friends. Maybe Alexa was telling the truth, Lily suggested hopefully as they crossed toward the wooded path. Maybe, Maya replied, though she didn't relax her vigilance. Years of competition had taught her that the moment you dropped your guard was the moment you got hit. They were halfway across the parking area when Maya heard it, the faint sound of footsteps on gravel coming from behind the science building. She raised her hand, stopping the group. What is it? Zoe whispered. Before Maya could answer, Tyler stepped out from behind the building, flanked by Derek and 2 other football players she didn't recognize. Their expressions left no doubt about their intentions. Well, well, Tyler called out, his voice carrying across the empty lot. Look who decided to take the scenic route home. Maya positioned herself in front of her friends, eyes narrowed. Alexa told you we'd come this way. Tyler's smile faltered slightly. Alexa talks too much. Understanding dawned on Maya. She didn't tell you. You followed her to lunch, heard her warning us. The flash of anger in Tyler's eyes confirmed her guess. Doesn't matter how we knew. What matters is you're here and there's no teachers around to save you this time. Maya took a step forward, creating more distance between herself and her friends. "Go home, Tyler, this is pointless." "No, what's pointless is you thinking you can just walk into my school and disrespect me." Tyler's voice rose with each word. "You humiliated me. You hurt my friends, and now you're turning my girlfriend against me." "I didn't do any of that," Maya replied calmly. "You did it to yourself." Tyler's face flushed with anger. He gestured to his friends, who began to spread out, moving to surround the group. "Get the others," he instructed Derek. "Make sure no one interferes." Derek jogged back behind the building, presumably to signal more reinforcements. The situation was deteriorating rapidly, exactly as Alexa had warned. "Tanisha," Maya said without taking her eyes off Tyler, "get Zoe and Lily out of here. Take the path to the road." "We're not leaving you," Zoe protested. "Yes, you are," Maya replied firmly. "I can handle this, but not if I'm worried about you three getting caught in the middle." Tanisha looked torn, clearly reluctant to abandon Maya but understanding the logic. "We'll get help," she promised. "Just go," Maya insisted. "Now." Tanisha grabbed Zoe and Lily by their arms, pulling them toward the path. One of the football players moved to block them, but Maya was faster, intercepting him with a warning look that made him hesitate just long enough for the three girls to slip past. "Let them go," Tyler instructed, his eyes fixed on Maya. "It's her we want." Maya watched her friends disappear into the trees before turning her full attention back to Tyler. She was alone now, facing 4 football players with more potentially on the way. The odds weren't good, but she'd faced worse in competition. "Last chance to walk away," she offered, knowing he wouldn't take it but feeling obligated to try. Tyler laughed, the sound harsh and without humor. "You're still acting tough? Look around, Ninja Girl. It's 4 against 1, about to be more. You can't win this." Maya dropped her backpack to the ground and settled into a relaxed, ready stance. "We'll see." Something in her calm confidence made Tyler hesitate. For all his bravado, he had seen what she could do, had felt the surprising strength in her grip when she'd put him in that wrist lock. For the first time, a flicker of doubt crossed his face. Before he could reconsider, however, Derek returned with 3 more teammates in tow. 7 against 1 now. Even Maya had to admit the odds were becoming problematic. "No more talking," Tyler decided, emboldened by the additional backup. "Show her what happens to people who cross us." The football players began to close in, forming a tightening circle around Maya. She tracked their movements with practiced eyes, identifying the most immediate threats, looking for weaknesses in their formation. 2 of them were hesitant, moving more slowly than the others, potential weak points she could exploit if necessary. The first attack came from her left, a lunging grab from a heavy-set lineman whose bulk made him slow and predictable. Maya sidestepped easily, using his momentum to send him stumbling into one of his teammates. The collision created momentary confusion, which she used to create space, backing toward the science building to prevent them from surrounding her completely. "Don't let her move," Tyler shouted. "Corner her." 2 more players charged simultaneously from different angles. Maya ducked under one grab and blocked the other with a forearm strike that made the boy yelp in surprise. She wasn't fighting to hurt them, just to keep them at bay, to demonstrate that even outnumbered, she wasn't an easy target. Derek circled behind her, trying to catch her in a bear hug. She sensed him coming and dropped her weight, spinning to deliver a sweep kick that took his legs out from under him. He hit the ground hard, cursing loudly. "What the hell are you waiting for?" Tyler demanded of the remaining players. "Rush her all at once." Maya braced herself as 4 boys charged her simultaneously. This would be trickier. She could handle 2, maybe 3 attackers at once, but 4 was pushing the limits of even her training. She'd have to be perfect in her timing and execution. The first boy reached her, arms outstretched. She used his momentum against him, just as she had in the first confrontation. But this time she didn't have the luxury of following through. The second attacker was already on her, grabbing for her arm. She twisted free, but the distraction cost her precious reaction time. The third boy managed to grasp her shoulder, trying to pull her off balance. Maya struck with controlled precision, a palm heel to the sternum that wasn't meant to injure but to create space. The boy released her, backing away with a surprised expression. But the fourth attacker, a tall receiver with unexpected speed, caught her from behind, pinning her arms to her sides. "Got her!" he shouted triumphantly. Maya didn't panic. This was a hold she had practiced escaping hundreds of times. She dropped her weight, stomped on the boy's instep, and twisted sharply, breaking his grip. As he stumbled back, she created distance again, breathing hard but still focused. Tyler watched from a few feet away, his expression a mixture of frustration and disbelief. "What are you?" he demanded. Before Maya could respond, a new voice cut through the tension. "That's enough." Everyone turned to see Alexa standing at the edge of the parking lot, arms crossed, eyes blazing with anger. Behind her stood Coach Bennett, Tyler's father, his face dark with fury. "What the hell is going on here?" Coach Bennett demanded, surveying the scene. 7 football players surrounding a single girl, Derek still on the ground, several others looking disheveled from their failed attempts to grab Maya. "Dad," Tyler began, his confident demeanor instantly replaced with nervous justification. "She started it. She attacked Derek the other day and we were just—" "Save it," Coach Bennett cut him off. "I saw enough." He turned to the other players. "Practice field. Now, 10 laps for starters." The boys exchanged uncertain glances, but knew better than to argue with their coach. They began to file away, some shooting resentful looks at Maya, others simply looking relieved to escape the situation. "Not you," Coach Bennett said, stopping Tyler with a hand on his shoulder. "You stay right here." As the others disappeared, an uncomfortable silence fell over the parking lot. Alexa moved to stand beside Maya, a choice that didn't go unnoticed by either Tyler or his father. "You want to explain yourself?" Coach Bennett asked his son, his voice dangerously quiet. Tyler's face flushed. "She embarrassed me in front of everyone, made me look weak. I was just trying to—" "To what?" his father interrupted. "Beat up a girl? 7-on-1? Is that what I've taught you?" Tyler looked down, unable to meet his father's disappointed gaze. "No, sir." Coach Bennett turned to Maya. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head. "I'm fine." He studied her for a long moment, professional assessment in his gaze. "You handled yourself well. Military training?" "Competitive martial arts," Maya replied. The coach nodded, as if this confirmed something he'd suspected. "Tyler, apologize to Miss Chen." "Dad, now." Tyler's jaw clenched, but he managed to force out the words. "Sorry." It was possibly the least sincere apology Maya had ever heard, but she nodded her acceptance anyway. This wasn't about Tyler's genuine remorse. It was about establishing boundaries. "This ends here," Coach Bennett declared, looking between Tyler and Maya. "Whatever grudge you two have, it's done. Understood?" "Yes, sir," Maya agreed readily. Tyler hesitated, then nodded curtly. "Fine." "Good. Now go join your teammates," Coach Bennett instructed his son. "And you'd better run those laps faster than anyone else." As Tyler jogged away, his father turned back to Maya and Alexa. "Miss Chen, I'd like a word with you, privately." Alexa touched Maya's arm lightly. "I'll wait for you by the science doors," she said before walking away, leaving Maya alone with the coach. Coach Bennett waited until Alexa was out of earshot before speaking. "My son can be hot-headed. Gets it from his mother." A hint of a smile touched his lips before disappearing. "But he's not a bad kid, just confused about what strength really means." Maya wasn't sure how to respond, so she remained silent. "That said," the coach continued, I won't tolerate this kind of behavior on my team. Tyler will face consequences, as will the others involved today. Thank you, Maya said, genuinely surprised by his fairness. Coach Bennett studied her with that same assessing gaze. You really compete? Maya nodded. I did, national level before I moved here. Thought so. You move like someone with training. He paused. The school has a mixed martial arts club, small but dedicated. They could use someone with your experience. The offer caught Maya off guard. I haven't competed in a while. Doesn't have to be about competition, Coach Bennett replied. Could just be about sharing what you know. Think about it. With that, he turned and walked away, leaving Maya to process this unexpected development. First Marcus offering her training space at his dojo, now Coach Bennett suggesting she join the school's martial arts club. It seemed the universe was conspiring to pull her back into the world she'd tried to leave behind. But was that really such a bad thing? Maya found Alexa waiting by the science wing doors as promised, her perfect posture betraying a hint of tension. Their eyes met, and for a moment, neither spoke, the silence heavy with unasked questions. Your friends are safe, Alexa said finally. They were about to call the police when I found them. I told them I'd make sure you were okay. Thanks, Maya replied, studying the other girl with newfound curiosity, both for that and for bringing Coach Bennett. How did you know what Tyler was planning? Alexa leaned against the wall, a small sigh escaping her. I overheard him talking to Derek at lunch. Once I figured out he'd followed me when I warned you, I knew he'd change the plan. Set up an ambush at the science exit instead. She looked away. I wanted to warn you again, but I couldn't risk Tyler seeing me. So you went to his father instead, Maya observed. It was the only way to stop it before someone got hurt. Alexa's voice held a note of defensiveness. I know what you think of me, but I never wanted this. She gestured vaguely toward the parking lot where the confrontation had occurred. Maya considered this. The Queen Bee of Westlake High was proving to be far more complex than she'd initially appeared. Not just a stereotypical mean girl, but someone with her own moral code, however twisted it might be. Why the change of heart? Maya asked directly. 3 days ago, you were putting threatening notes on my locker. Alexa straightened, some of her usual confidence returning. I wanted to scare you, not see you beaten up by a bunch of football players. There's a difference. She paused, a flicker of vulnerability crossing her face. Besides what Tyler's doing, it's not about me anymore. It's about his ego, his pride, and I'm not interested in being collateral damage in his vendetta. Trouble in paradise? Maya asked, unable to keep a hint of sarcasm from her voice. Something like that, Alexa admitted with a tight smile. Let's just say I'm reevaluating certain relationships. Before Maya could respond, the doors burst open and Tanisha, Zoe, and Lily rushed out, relief evident on their faces. Maya! Zoe exclaimed, throwing her arms around her in an unexpected hug. Are you okay? We were so worried. I'm fine, Maya assured them, returning the hug awkwardly. Nothing happened. Nothing happened? Lily repeated incredulously. We saw you surrounded by Tyler and his entire team before Alexa made us go for help. It was handled, Maya said simply, not wanting to relive the details of the confrontation. Coach Bennett intervened. Tanisha glanced between Maya and Alexa, her expression suspicious. And what's happening here exactly? The question hung in the air, loaded with implications. Maya herself wasn't entirely sure what was happening between her and the girl who had been her enemy just days ago. A truce, Alexa declared before Maya could respond. For now. A truce, Maya agreed cautiously. Tanisha didn't look convinced, but she let it drop. We should go. It's getting late and I don't trust that Tyler won't try something else. He won't, Alexa said with certainty. Not today, at least. Coach Bennett will keep him running laps until he pukes, then bench him for the next game as punishment. Tyler might be stupid, but he's not suicidal. The assessment was delivered with such cool detachment that Maya couldn't help but admire Alexa's insight into her boyfriend's situation. There was something almost clinical in her analysis, as if she were discussing a chess opponent rather than someone she supposedly cared about. Still, Maya said, we should go. It's been a long day. As they gathered their things to leave, Alexa hesitated, then addressed the group. Listen, about what happened to Zoe in the locker room yesterday. She paused, seeming to struggle with the words. That wasn't supposed to happen. I told my friends to send a message, not to threaten or harass anyone. Zoe adjusted her glasses nervously. Why should we believe you? You shouldn't, Alexa replied frankly. I haven't exactly earned your trust, but for what it's worth, I've dealt with the girls involved. They won't bother any of you again. There was something almost admirable in her straightforwardness, Maya thought. No excessive apologies, no dramatic promises, just a simple acknowledgement of wrongdoing and a statement of correction. Thank you, Maya said, answering for the group. We appreciate that. Alexa nodded once, then turned to leave. See you Monday, I guess. As she walked away, Tanisha shook her head in disbelief. Did that really just happen? Is Alexa Donovan actually being decent? People can surprise you, Maya replied, watching the other girl's retreating figure. Sometimes even themselves. The four friends made their way off campus together, sticking to main roads and well-lit paths. Despite Alexa's assurance that Tyler was contained for the day, none of them were willing to take unnecessary risks. The adrenaline of the confrontation had left Maya feeling drained but oddly clear-headed, as if a fog had lifted from her mind. What did Coach Bennett say to you? Lily asked as they walked. He apologized for Tyler's behavior, Maya replied, said there would be consequences for everyone involved. And, Tanisha pressed, sensing there was more. Maya hesitated, then shared the rest. He suggested I join the school's martial arts club, said they could use someone with my experience. Are you going to do it? Zoe asked. The question echoed in Maya's mind. Was she ready to step back into that world? To embrace the part of herself she'd tried so hard to bury after her father's death? I don't know, she admitted. Maybe. Tanisha bumped her shoulder gently. For what it's worth, I think you should. You were amazing today. The way you handled those guys. You've got a gift, Maya. It's not just about being able to fight, Maya explained, trying to articulate her conflicted feelings. When my dad was alive, martial arts was our thing. It was how we connected, how we spent time together. After he died, it just felt wrong, empty. But it's still part of who you are, Lily observed quietly. You can't just cut out a piece of yourself and expect to be whole. The simple wisdom of the statement caught Maya off guard. Lily, with her poetry and quiet observations, had a way of cutting straight to the heart of things. Maybe you're right, Maya conceded. I just need to figure out what it means without him. They parted ways at the corner where their paths diverged, each heading to their respective homes with promises to text later. Maya walked the remaining blocks to her aunt's house alone, her mind replaying the day's events like a film reel. Coach Bennett's offer, Alexa's unexpected alliance, the look on Tyler's face when his father made him apologize, the feeling of moving through combat forms again at Marcus's dojo. It all swirled together into a complex emotional cocktail that left her both exhausted and strangely energized. She found her aunt in the kitchen, preparing dinner. Sarah looked up as Maya entered, immediately sensing something had happened. Rough day? She asked, setting down her knife. You could say that, Maya replied, dropping her backpack and slumping into a chair at the kitchen table. Sarah waited, giving her space to share or keep silent as she chose. It was one of the things Maya appreciated most about her aunt. She never pushed, never demanded, just created room for truth to emerge naturally. I got into another confrontation, Maya admitted finally. Tyler and his friends tried to ambush me after school. Sarah's expression tightened with concern. Are you hurt? No, I handled it. Maya hesitated, then added, Coach Bennett, Tyler's dad, showed up and put a stop to it before it got too serious. Thank goodness for that, Sarah murmured, though her eyes remained troubled. Maya, this is getting dangerous. Maybe we should talk to the principal, file a formal complaint. Maya shook her head. It wouldn't help. Tyler's dad is handling the football team side of things, and honestly, I think Alexa's changing her stance too. Alexa? The girl who was behind the bullying? It's complicated, Maya said with a small smile. Everything at Westlake is complicated.